Hi, I'm Jeremy. Welcome to our farm, Cornucopia Orchards. Well, here we are. It is a beautiful midday. This week is the start of overtime for retail. We're in the holiday swing of things, and so Casey is at work even though it's an extra day. I'm fortunate enough that her mom is watching the boys today, at least for the afternoon, so I can get some work done on the metal, which, yes, indeed, the metal company, um, I think they took a total of 6 days, including the weekend, to get this done. And to the supplier, they're a great company. Taylor Metal, I would work with them again. So I'm getting started on cutting what we need for the far side, try and make some major progress on that middle section of the roof today. We have 14 sheets here, plus I think they sent me an extra one of the 9 foot. Hope I didn't get charged for the 9 foot. That's extra. I only needed one. Pretty sure I only told them to order one. We'll see if I need it for anything else. And I'm just working on getting these all cut out. So cutting out these corners, that would have always been something that I would have to do, regardless of the situation. But there was some stuff that I did not know that they offered. Now I would have liked to have known that they offered. Just as a make things easier kind of a thing. And one of the things that they offer that I did not know about is that they will actually do pre-bends on your sheets. Like for the bottom, they'll bend it under. They have little tabs that come in and cover the ends of your pieces on the bottom where it's displayed. That would have been nice to know. I don't know whether I would have paid for the extra. I don't know what the extra is. I was never offered. This pizza. That must be one of those I'm hungry slips. This piece is ready to go. We got the next section already. This bottom part's bent up. The bottom part is folded over, and the little leg on the next piece for the fold-in is clipped off. So I'll get this one put up. We'll get our last, on that side, we'll get our last piece cut that needs to have even just a little bit of this angle, and then the rest is all straights, and I'll just cut them the exact same, boom, 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 all the way down. Ooh. Wow, turns out that works really well when you do it right away after the metal arrives. A little bit that's got just the teensiest bit coming out of the corner there. Goes up like there, and then over. And the way I'm folding these up, I'm omitting doing anything with this back leg, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off on this next one, just with the length to make sure it's not gonna cause any problems at the back. Let's see if I can get in there and show you. I don't want it to destroy that tape as it pushes back in. And I got this exactly as long as it needs to be with the fold up, so I'll just remove that. And over here, the other thing is this is a little bit bowed. It's gonna be up to about there anyway once the hip cap metal piece comes in here, but that's because I put that a little too high. So that back fold up, I looked at it and wondered, is that really 3/4? I think it ended up more like a full inch, and so it's pushing. But it's exactly the length it needs to be, which means that I can just run this field all the way down until we hit that first one there at full speed. And that's gonna be, I think, 10 sheets. So you might recall that we had spent some time putting in these 3, 4, 5 triangles and having straight lines coming down the roof on this lower side to make sure that we were square and would stay square. Well, of course, we used something that was washed off, but I still have the pencil marks at the bottom on the metal and on the top on the metal that are still good. And I'm just checking as we're heading into this first sheet of full-length material that we're maintaining our square. Let me show you how. There's our center of building, and that one comes down, and I had just enough pencil left to be able to tell where that had been to, so I just kind of threw a tape on there and squiggled the line. Mostly what's important is the bottom and the top. Obviously we have this sheet on, and so I just pulled from on the other lip, on the other side of the lip, so it's not quite perfectly centered, but essentially that just means we'll be off by 1/8 as we come this way. And you know, to this center line that I developed, it was 80 inches on the top and 80 on the bottom. It's perfect. So just to make sure, I came back again and found there's a line that's right there that came down. And again, I have this little diacritic marks my line, and up here, little pencil mark on the metal. And you know, so measuring up here, and actually a little bit of survived right through here, and then over to that same center line, 80 inches exact, 80 inches exact. So while the roof is not perfect, we have established our spread, and realistically off of the most stable half, it doesn't change much from this corner to the center. It's really that corner where this post was just a little bit leaned in because this wall was also leaned in. So I've got the next batch ready to go, and I'm not really sure whether I needed 5 or 6 sheets to get to the point where we're going down the slope again. So I prepped 5, and we'll see. But let's knock these in here, and then we'll know, and maybe we can make some progress going back down the hill. 5 sheets are on, and we could have fit a 6th. This one's going to have just a hair out of the top, so they're 88 inches long, including the fold up and the bend over on the bottom, which takes away 3/4, roughly a little more than half, and then 3/4 here, and that gives us like 84 3/4 of vertical here, including that bottom. So just a teeny bit to snip off and then fold up. At this point, I'm finally starting to get comfortable working with metal sheeting. 2 years ago, I built our shop, and I had next to no experience. I didn't even find a good YouTuber to teach me how to do the detail work until the very end. That's Kyle from RR Buildings, by the way, if you're looking for a great pro to follow. As we finish up work on the house's metal, I'm confident that when we get to the next outbuilding, or the barn, I can make a proper job of it, and hopefully with some speed and less wasted miscuts. For now, on this structure I've poured blood, sweat, and if not tears, then at least countless hours into. At least I can say that while it isn't perfect, it is sound, it is sealed, and it should last us a very long time. Watch out for your knees. Just take your time. That's the hardest one. You want to go and do any of the other ones and you can come back? So I figured since we've got this in place, and I can't go up high when I'm watching the boys. It's a beautiful day, shame to waste it. We're putting in retaining wall here, and it doesn't have to go very high. And I figured I would use these railroad ties. I can go on top of them. If I decide I don't like the look, I can put some kind of a block or a cap, like glued to the top. That'd be pretty easy. And what we've done just to start them out is just a little compacted gravel layer. And, don't push it in any farther, buddy. As far as it needs to be. And Damien's been a big help with the hammer. There's a rod down to the soil like a foot there. That one is probably a little bit less because you can see he's got one sticking out. That's actually a second rod, a short one. Don't drive it in much, buddy. Thank you. That one has a joint where the two are joined together, and then it's got one additional further down. And so the goal with all of that is simply to just hold the whole thing together. There's one in there too. And you know, it's got a little bit of pressure up here from the soil against it. It will have some, not a whole lot. And then down here, it will have more because it's deeper. And so just want to make sure that it's, you know, in place. It's not going to go anywhere, and the soil is not going to be able to push it. So these 5/8 rods of rebar should do the trick. Damien, move the rod. Get that out of there, buddy. I told you to move it. Pull it. Thanks, pal. Watch out. Coming in.
Okay, we're gonna go that one.
There we go. That looks pretty good. Okay. So I gotta drill some bolts for us. Right, maybe that's not the right setting. Let's try this. Nope. Battery isn't gonna work. Try it with a bigger battery, I guess. Okay, let's give this a shot, buddy.
I'll stop it for dropping all the screws.
Where'd it go? That is pretty dopey. I certainly can't reach that. There we go. Okay, well, that screw's gone for now. It's okay, it's only like $1.50, you know, per screw or something. Go ahead. Good job.
It's very fun.
Usually like that. Little copper preservative for any of the cut ends makes this installation that's going to last longer. Starting some post supports down here at the bottom. The engineering doesn't call for this to have any additional support. It is cantilevered back to the wall, but the design does. And so rather than having an inspector question that, we're just going to go ahead and fill in these 2 posts. And it'll also help with bracing, because even if the engineering doesn't call for it, I just feel a little iffy about hanging a long, tall stairs, even, you know, half of a length off of that without it being braced. So post, then some kind of a cross bracing to help prevent deflection on the end there. And same as before, we're just going to use our little forms that we made. Make sure they're leveled. Got these extra legs on them today to where I could kind of rock them back and forth to where they want to be. And just going to run them up. Nice deep holes, you know, 8 inches or whatever down. This whole landscape is coming up a little bit all through this area. You know, most of the way up these posts is where we're going to wind up sitting with, I don't know, sand, pavers, gravel, something. And this will be a nice little area down here underneath the deck. And Casey's doing all the work again. My elbow is shot, so always exciting. But going in nicely, and just put in, you know, some bracing on the bottom side. Make sure it doesn't come out the bottom.
You have to.
So here's the last one on one of the 2 sides. You can see I've done some fashioning here. And this is the one weakness that I've got on that side, and that is that I've got to put some silicone caulk and fill up, basically like a bump this out through into here in order to make that not be a potential problem. And that's not going to be particularly easy, but that's what we're going to need to do in order to make sure that stays sealed. And if I wanted to have this, then I couldn't have a flap that comes up here. And it's just such a small space. I may try and put something behind there, but regardless, this is a spot where it can catch. There's a very minimal amount of water that's going to be this close to the wall. And got my little fold up here to make it look a little bit nicer. Comes down most of the way to the edge. And on the top, just got a little piece where it comes in and folds up there. And then this whole lip here just goes up underneath that end wall flashing. All right, here's that piece installed. Did have to really work to get it Basically, to take it down there and have just a couple of inches and stick the whole thing out like a fishing rod, slide it, and then pull it up through here. And then once it was all the way up to the end, then I could push it in, because remember we had that little gap right there at the very bottom, right there. That was only an inch and a half, and then the rest of it had to go under, so it was more like 2 or 2 1/8. And so down there, once that had come up past the trim, then I could push it in, hammer it down, and get it fully synced in and attached. But I feel really pretty good about it. The only thing I've got to do now that it's installed, as you can see, there's a little bit of a metal cut right there that kind of split open from where I had hoped it would stay, just due to the fact that this interior piece here drove up a little bit further, and so it tucked behind. So as long as I put a little bit of silicone, just kind of right over that interchange, and then just back behind this piece on the side down there at the end, we should be in great shape. Turned out better than I actually thought it was going to. As you can see, there's a little bit of light outside, not much, and it's pretty dark in here. And we're inside, as we will be for pretty much the whole winter. Hopefully soon we'll be getting the electrical done, and that will enable me to, have lights and some heat in here. Your bathroom fan. So in this bathroom, it's a 5 foot by, I think, 12 or so. As in most bathrooms, fairly small space. We're going to be putting it up in the joists. You can get some that are rated for over your shower. My shower's on that far end. I don't like that, and I'm not keen on it. I'm not worried about having, it a little further away. So it's kind of right above the bath or above the toilet. But you'll notice there's a beam there. So I'm going to come to this side so that I'm not trying to figure out how to get that air, that way. Standard size now for most of these fans for the exhaust isn't 3-inch anymore, it's 4-inch. And that's what this is pushing, is with a little converter that comes with it. It's gonna push a 4-inch, exhaust out of there. And that can't go through these joists that I have. So you can see we've already got 2 little nails up here. I took the flange on this, placed it up against where it was going to be, and then marked that. And then I was able to put in 2 nails, and that just makes this next step a whole lot easier, where we put this on and get it into position. So this will just slide over those nails, and then right about like that. This particular model, and a lot of them, have tabs to give you your spacing for drywall. And so I'm running 5/8. So I'm just a little bit down from where the 1/2-inch tabs would be on this bad boy. And then nothing special about these nails. I am using stubbies. Just your, like this, where like something a lot more serious than it actually is. And they designed this little connector here to where this will actually be open, but the slightest hint of a breeze will push it up into position. So it goes on like that. And then our duct will just take off from there. We're going to be running over to this wall. And then the thing about this house is that there's a, band board, or whatever you want to call it, top trim that runs along this whole length here. And ideally we would punch out through that, but we can't. And that's because we'd have to come down. It's a 2x6 wall. Part of it's taken up by that board on the far side that's joining the joist together. And we would just, there's no way to run a 4-inch pipe down to get it out through the wall there, or at least not a good way to do it. That's something you have to think about and plan for. And so I talked to the county and made sure that the code for Oregon does not preclude me doing what I'm gonna do, which is run it out through the wall and then down and emit it through the soffit. You can see out the window here with me that that soffit is a vented soffit. And, you know, immediately you could imagine the potential, you know, reason why people would not want you doing that. And I get it, 100%. You know, you're potentially venting some moisture from your bathroom, and then it's going to emit to the outside and come right back up into that vent space that is taking cooler air and pulling it up over the insulated portion of the inside of your roof, your attic, and out through the ridge vent. I get it. I 100% get that. However, the code does not preclude it. Past this little closet right back in there, and it's the same thing. We're gonna have to vent out through that wall and then down through the soffit out there. I do have a regret there, and that is that we did not put in the soffit emitters and, you know, get this piece kind of ready out through the wall and down through the soffit when we had the scaffold already in place out there. I'm gonna go ahead and plug this bad boy in now, just to get it in and out of the way. Give myself just the barest room for this. Hopefully that's enough. So it's nice that this little bracket piece, what we're going to call it, pops off. So then we can, you know, put this onto the wire here and have it hang out until we are done with all of our connections. And then the whole thing just goes up there. Now that will mean that we're going to need a knockout clamp. So I've got that with me. Make this easy by opening everything up ahead of time. So the next step is going to be, I know that these wires up in here, hard to tell exactly how long they are, but they're out there a ways. So I think I'll just try and match these ones that I'm installing now to the same length, you know? So for this unit, you've got your white. Those are all gonna go together with the white or power in, I guess, coming from your switch. And then you've got red, which is gonna go, this is a 14-3 wire, and that's gonna go to your blue, and then you've got black to black, and obviously you're gonna ground out onto there. And pretty simple. The more complex parts on the other end on the switches, really, and we'll deal with that much later for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start with the ground. Nice and tight, there we go. And your wing nuts are gonna have ratings, you know, what their capacity is. And the minimum on these is 218, so I'm easily good there. And the maximum, I believe, was 312s. So these will work for all of these different connections. And we're going to go ahead and start with the white ones. Got a little bit of twist, you know, an inch or so of twist on the wire. The next step is our blue to our red. My boy, blue. And just pinch that wire set and then allow it to pull itself together. All right, done. That just needs put back together. Very simple to make these things all go in together, and then it's gonna be a while before we use these for anything other than maybe the lights in the room. And so I will plug in the light tray, which just is the other plug-in that you see up there, and get that set into position. But other than that, I don't have any intention to do anything additional in this box anytime soon. So we'll probably go ahead and get that done. And then at some point in the next month or two, we'll have to run that out to the wall. So in summary, with this job with installing a bath exhaust fan, you need to know your code in the area and know a couple of things. First, what is the size required by the fan and also by code for the exhaust duct to be? In this case, it's going to be 4 inches, and you can't cut through joists that are too small for that, so you have to plan around that. Second, you need to make sure that you supply a 14-3 or a 12-3 wire for your bathroom fan, so that you have the ability to turn the light and the fan off separately if it is a dual purpose. And third and last, you need to make sure that you actually have somewhere to take the exhaust coming off of this fan, and you have that path planned out and the ability to vent it where you're hoping and wanting to vent it to, via what your municipality or your county or whatever jurisdiction you're in is willing to allow, and what the code says. And sometimes they're the same and sometimes it's not. So you do need to be aware of what your building department is like. It's funny, in the last 5 years we've owned 3 different properties. We've moved 4 times, and poor Casey, every time we've started to feel settled in, change has come again. On the one hand, our nomadism has, I think, helped us to revalue what is really important. Each other, of course, not our furniture, our toys, our trappings of home, or even our house or the land we've owned itself. Don't get me wrong, I feel a deep sense of pride in upgrading our last 2 homes and making them ours, and our last farm, I put so much of myself into starting my dream there that, I think I left some of me there in the dirt and the trees. On the other hand, what we've already poured into this place is more learning, more dreaming, more effort, and in a way, I feel like I've started to shape this land, and as I've built this home, it's changed me as much as I've changed it. I can't imagine a more fulfilling vocation outside of family life. I can't wait to see this place in 5 years, and I can't wait to meet who we become. We love it if you join us on this journey as we build this house the rest of the way and make this farm a reality. Hit the subscribe button. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.